Sometimes we overlook things that are right in front of us and miss beautiful moments just because we are looking in the wrong direction. Turn around and take a closer look, and you will find things you never expected. My name is Sandra Bračun. I'm a marine biologist, and I'm particularly impressed by small creatures that are often underestimated. Today I'm taking you on a journey to discover the mysterious life that lives on gravel beaches and why we need to explore and protect it. Sharing my passion and love for the underwater world is very important for me. It's the first step in preserving this unique habitat. I've been working in environmental education for several years, mainly in Croatia, where I can pass on my knowledge about the sea to a lot of young people. My heart also beats for science. There are a lot of unanswered questions. As soon as you enter this world, where the land meets the sea, it begins a still underestimated hidden world, which I was only able to really get to know through Maximilian Wagner. Our journey started in Croatia, where you can find unique gravel beaches. After that, we began touring the Mediterranean Sea, always in searching of a small hidden fish and gravel beaches. This spring I came across a building project for a hotel complex which should bring more people during summertime. In order to build this hotel, of course nature has to make way. I was eager to find out more about it and the consequences of this project for the natural life and the surrounding gravel beaches. More and more people are visiting the Mediterranean Sea. Obviously, touristic pressure on beaches increased every summer, and I wanted to know more about the effects. Preparation for the arrival of people on beaches has started again. Max has been researching the hidden life in gravel beaches for years.
So this is that beach in Pula?
Yes, exactly. So this is the beach where the video is from. And it's a common strategy in Croatia to modify the beaches, like with excavators, like seen in the video. And I'm sure that my colleague Čedomir Benac can tell you more about the whole procedure and the impact of these modifications on beaches.
Perfect.
After talking to Max, I followed his advice to meet Čedomir Benac at the University of Rijeka.
We have a beautiful coast which we need to protect. They are endangered because of two things. First, in some places, they are turned into bathing areas. Some objects can be built there, and through that, the hydrodynamic stability is disturbed and then they disappear. Second, in the long term, they will be endangered because of the climate change. There's too little space for sea bathing. A lot of new apartments and houses were built. There are more and more tourists, and the area for sea bathing stayed the same. Because simply, there are none left. Have a look on Lopar, on so-called Zlatna Plaža, or the Golden Beach. What has human intervention done? A marina was built there with no previous research, and the body of the beach is declining. The currents changed, and the body of the beach is becoming smaller. You have a much worse example also on island Rab, on this area of Babat. Let's have a look. All of this was more or less gravel coast. And what happened here? You can see a row of uncontrollably made seawalls. And at the end, this is land degradation. Sometimes you can see it here, when it's done badly. It's first concreted over, and then that concrete disintegrates later on. Unfortunately, there are a lot of examples of this. But the problem is that in the end, this is not controlled by inspection. The investor wants to use the cheapest material possible, and often this material contains construction waste material with a great percentage of soil. This causes turbidity, which after a while clears up. The other issue is that the nourishment is not necessary, because you already have a beach. This is often done without any supervision and is often overlooked. Implementation is the problem, not the law.
On the way back from Rijeka, I still thought about Čedomir's words. I was wondering how to protect these beaches. A good friend of mine came to mind, Maja Pamić. She's exactly the right person to talk to.
For my master's degree, I researched fishes in gravel beaches. They were recently discovered and they inhabit the area where we enter the sea, where we bathe and sometimes put our beach towels. These fishes are called clinkfish, and it's really surprising that they were only recently discovered, because their home is the part of the beach we use the most. How can I find them? Basically, you have to find a nice gravel beach and dig into the sediment, because they live in space between the gravel.
Maja showed me her work and took me to the beach where she studied the grain composition to better understand where the fish occurs. It was hard work for her. She checked 2 tons of stones.
What are you currently working on? Right now, besides my work on these fish, I work on making a management plan for some marine areas of the Natura 2000 ecological network. This is a document that determines the state of the area, including goals and activities for this place. That means we define how this area will be used and its way of management.
After meeting Maja and Čedomir, I meet Max again and share my findings with him. I was curious to know what he thinks.
The simple fact that we found 3 new species and kind of rediscovered another species in these gravel beach environments of fish is per se a very astonishing finding. Raises the question of what else lives there that we don't know about. And so, considering that, many more questions remain unsolved and remain to be explored. My research is about studying tiny fish that live very hidden in intertidal pebble beaches in the Mediterranean Sea. Before I started with the study of this fish, there was one species known, and I was lucky to find out that there are even more of these tiny fishes living in the intertidal. And now I'm studying this system from different angles, like ecology, the evolution, the genetics and genomics of this fish, that allow us to kind of investigate their adaptations. Now in my PhD, I got to name this fish and describe them formally. I think for every marine biologist, this is always like the most exciting thing when you see in front of you that you have a new species discovered and you're about to name it. The blunt-snouted clingfishes, they are fishes particularly adapted to live in these gravel beaches. They have a very elongated, worm-like body shape, so they are really adapted to live in this narrow interstitial. They have small eyes. They're highly flexible, and they actually don't look any more like a fish because they're so well adapted to live where they live. And that makes them also very exciting for research, because that's a very intriguing example of how natural selection acts in wild. And we can definitely see that in that fish, because they really don't look like a fish anymore.
So they are really important for the ecosystem in beaches.
Yeah, the question about the importance and the ecology of fishes is very difficult, because we basically know nothing about this fish so far, because they're really hard to observe in wild. They apparently have a very important role in the whole ecosystem network, because they're top predators.
So you mentioned they are predators. That means something else is also living there.
Yes, so gravel beaches are not as boring as they might look like in the beginning. But of course, it's very hard to find all these animals. So one has to really take a closer look, or even take a microscope to look what's there. And you have to dig out the animals, because most of them, they live underneath the stones or in between the stones. And there are different types of worms that live there, or snails, or crustaceans that really thrive in this pebble ecosystem and also fulfill a certain ecological role, for instance, by removing organic waste and so on and so forth. So this is a whole interconnected system that's completely understudied. So we don't know a lot about this. And I guess that's mainly due to the reason that it's very difficult to study, because, it's simply stones.
One thing seems to be quite clear: the message about life and gravel beaches has to get out. We can at least let beach visitors know what lives right under their feet.
So look, now we have it printed. So here you can see this is Pisidia longicornis. So here's Pisidia illustrated, and the people can here have a closer look on this animal and read just a little bit about this one. And in not only the life in beaches, I think it's also important to show this here, what takes the life in beaches. So, for example,
like the plastic pollution and cigarettes. And
we decided to design posters with our message and put them up at well-visited gravel beaches. As I put up our first pair of posters, people came closer to see them. They were curious and wanted to know more about it. They had no idea and were amazed by these little creatures that would live between stones and right under their feet. Take a closer look. At first glance, you only see stones laying on top of each other. At the second glance, a new world opens up.